So today we're going to talk about the final reviews of the Anime Spring 2024 season shows, and today I have with me my husband. Say hello.
Hello.
And before we get started into the tier list, I want to clarify that we will not be talking about the shows that are going to roll over into summer season, which would be the Mission, Yozakura Family, Spice and Wolf, and My Hero Season 7. We're also not going to get to talk about the Misfit Demon King Academy continuation or the Whispers of My Heart, or no, Whisper Me a Love Song, because they are delayed and I don't want to wait forever for that to happen. So I think that the spring season overall was much higher quality than the average season that we get. There were so many more shows that I felt were like high 8s, or just 8s in general out of 10. What about you?
Yeah, they were all pretty good.
This tier list isn't going to be specifically like what we rated it, 8 out of 10 or not. It's more about like what our overall enjoyment of watching that show was. So to start, we'll do A Condition Called Love. I read the manga for this one prior to watching it, so I knew what was going to happen. I just wasn't sure how far they were going to adapt it. So I felt like it was a solid A. I think that for me personally, when I read the manga before I watch something, I always go in with like too much expectations, or like my expectations are really high. So I feel like there's going to be a little bit of like the nostalgia for the manga clouding my feelings, or my fresh feelings about the anime.
Yeah.
There's always going to be that, like, I'm expecting this scene or that moment, and it's not brand new to experience, so. We have another one that I read the manga for beforehand, which is An Archdemon's Dilemma, How to Love Your Elf Bride, which I feel like I wish that they had gone further into the adaptation. There's so many really good arcs, but overall I feel like they handled it really well, and everything was super cute, and I love them. I ship them so hard.
They did a good job making a cute show.
Do you feel like there was anything that brought you down as anime only and like not having known about the manga?
I don't think I felt like anything was missing.
It just felt like a general good show to you?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have the Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night, which I personally did not enjoy. If you weren't enjoying it, I would have dropped it. So you tell me how you felt.
I thought it was fun, cute music.
I can't do cute girls doing cute things that hard, and I really felt like they peaked when they did the acoustic Halloween song, and then every other song that they did after that was just so produced, and it didn't have the same energy for me personally.
Yeah.
So, and the drama was kind of just like surface drama? Like drama to be drama? I don't know. The next one is Studio Apartment, Good Lighting, Angel Included. I felt like it was really cute and happy. Like a general, just...
Yeah, cute, solid, not too much substance.
Yeah, but also nothing to complain about necessarily.
Good enough to watch.
Yeah, it's one of those, for me personally, that's the most like slow life, calm type thing that I want to do. I want it to still have a story. I don't want it to be just there for the sake of being there. And then we have Unnamed Memory, which I had my eye on from, way back when it was just trailers and stuff for the shows, and I definitely felt like that was one of my favorite shows for the whole season. So I personally would put it in S.
All the way up there.
Yeah. I know that a lot of people complained about the ending, and I just feel like I have enough faith in the magic system and I guess their relationship to believe that they will figure it out, and that, their world building and stuff really sucked me in, and I liked the characters and everything, so I'm still there for it, even though I'm usually the kind of person that hates the endings where it's like everything you just watched is now gone or ruined or over,
I almost would have liked the ending more if we didn't have a season 2 announcement.
If we didn't know?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could hold on. I feel like because we got the announcement right away is also kind of helping me cope.
I feel like they could have waited a week or two for the announcement just to build.
Just to play with people.
Yeah.
Because they did set up in that, like, after credits or during credit, whatever sequence, that, you know, things were still moving, and like you don't think that they would necessarily show you all of that if they weren't going to use it for something. The New Gate was, for me, another one of those good enough, but also I was mildly bored. I feel like the first half of the show really carried it, and then the second half it started to really fall off. And that was another one where a lot of people complained about the animation, but I just, like, it wasn't the worst animation we saw this season or anything like that, and so it's also, like, not something that I feel like I need to complain about.
Good fun fantasy.
I think I'd probably put that one in a C still, though.
Yeah?
Yeah. So then for season 2 of Moonlit Fantasy, we had to rewatch the first season because it had been so long to get to the second season, and in doing so, I kind of lowered my opinion of the show. Like, when we first watched it, I felt like it was an 8 out of 10, and I was really into it, but then we watched it again this season, and I was like, this is kind of just the average 7, good, but, you know, has some things that it could work on, but still classic, you know, fantasy anime. And I think that, you know, we're still gonna watch season 3. I'm still interested to see where they take things, but I think the thing that really bothered me the most about season 2 was that he became even more of a passive main character, and things are just happening to him and around him, and like the most decision making he ever does is reacting to the things that are happening around him. And like, I understand that that's, you know, it's normal to have like your first season or first arc where you're building up to things and you're, you know, bringing the squad together and everything, but I just kind of wish that they utilized those tools that they built in the first season in a different way. And I also don't really appreciate that like every fantasy show has to go to school now. At least this one he was a teacher, right?
Yeah.
Because like they kind of handled it slightly better. We didn't have to deal with quite as many like rules that academia usually brings to these shows and stuff.
But Shiki's fight at the end
was really cool.
Really good.
Yeah, I already liked him as a character in general because he's more dynamic than Mio and Tomoe, but I feel like that fight at the end was really cool. I think that it was good of them to go back to the goddess's realm and talk to her again, just to kind of re-solidify the, you know, core of underlying what's happening.
Remind us why she's stupid.
And why he doesn't like her. Yeah, so I think that was good. So the next one is Vampire Dormitory, which is another one that everyone complained about the animation for. And a couple people, you know, would do the classic, like, oh, vampires, ew, whatever. But I thought it was fun. You know, I read the manga. I think it's a B. I read the manga, and the manga was cute and whatever, and it's just kind of like a taste of BL, and so I think that's also an interesting take on the
BL,
vampire.
but the boy's a girl, don't worry about it.
Yeah. But it's also the constant misunderstandings of, like, people won't just talk to each other. So, I mean, they put the scene at the end of his brother going into the classroom, and so there's obviously, like, an expectation that there should be a season 2, but this was one of the ones that I do believe did not get an announcement.
Yeah.
So we have no idea if they're going to continue with that or not. But if they do, it'll be there, you know.
Yeah.
We'll see it through. So God's Games We Play, we dropped this one, and I didn't want to keep going because I felt like the characters didn't have very good, like, conversational chemistry with each other, and I felt like for the first episode, the game that they played with the cards was very just for them and not for the viewer. Like, there was no way for the viewer to mentally participate in that game, and that really bothered me. Was there anything that made you feel like it was worth dropping?
It just didn't have much substance, it felt like.
Yeah. There was also, like, kind of the classic, oh, he's already OP and everybody already knows who he is, but we don't feel connected to him, but everybody else is already talking about it anyway, which just makes me feel ostracized as a viewer instead. So then Grandpa and Grandma turn young again. This was another one that we dropped. There wasn't anything necessarily like wrong with it, and I'm sure that for a lot of people it's cute and funny, but for me personally, the jokes weren't landing, and the granddaughter was a little creepy.
I could have done if it was a movie. It had enough substance to last like 2 or 3 episodes, and then you're like, okay.
It was another one of those ones where they are selling the whole thing based off of their pitch of like, this is our one cool, unique idea, but then like it makes it so that it will sell as like a 4-panel comic or something, but isn't going to carry through for an entire full-length show. I mean, for all we know, we watched 2 episodes, so for all we know, it could have gotten better, it could have changed, they could have actually put a storyline into it, but the many sides of voice actor radio, for me, probably another B, because I felt like for a show that they spent so much time talking about the idol side of their job, and like actually putting them on stage, they didn't give us like song dynamic like they could have. But I really did appreciate that they finally put her in a voice acting booth at the end, just that conflict kind of lasted too long for me. It almost felt like it was 4 episodes of her just being like, how am I supposed to act? And I'm like, I get that that's the whole point, but like, I don't feel as though that struggle should have lasted quite as long. But I also don't know then, as a newbie rookie voice actress, what they would have done as a continuing conflict after that. I don't know. The pacing was weird. So then we have Black Butler public school arc, which is my least favorite arc in the manga. And I feel like was another one where it was like definitely could have been edited into a movie. I'm so biased about this. I almost want to say it's a C, but like obviously the production is there. Like the animation looks really good with the new studio, and I still came back to watch it dubbed instead of subbed because, growing up watching Black Butler dubbed, it's just J. Michael Tatum is Sebastian. I have to hear it that way. But you haven't read the manga, and you don't really know what's going on, because when you watched Black Butler with me, it was a really long time ago. So how did you feel?
As someone who's basically just seen the cruise ship movie,
yeah,
and this arc, it reminds me that I don't really like the main cast of Black Butler that
much. Like, does CL bother you?
No, the main supporting cast, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So the people that are at his house.
Oh, all the servants, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it more that it reminded you of that because they weren't there, or because they came back at the end and you were like, oh god, this is annoying?
They weren't there, and then we saw them at the end, I'm like, I don't like these people that much. So, I'm happy they're away.
Yeah, they did a little bit of an away. I believe, if I remember correctly, it's been a really long time since I watched read The Green Witch or The Emerald Witch. But I do believe that is another arc where, because it's in Germany, they go without the household, I think. I could be totally talking out my butt here. But the main point is that the public school arc is over, but it got us to the Green Witch, which is excellent. So I am really looking forward to that adaptation. Chillin' in another world with my level 2 super cheat powers. I if you want to put it in A, I can put it in A. I feel like it was another one where the first half of the show was really good. Like, the energy was high, it was funny, I liked the main character, and we met everybody pretty quickly. Like, we got settled in pretty quickly. But it did kind of fall off just for me around episode 6 or 7.
Yeah, it felt like it slowed down a little bit.
Yeah. But I will always appreciate a show where they get in a committed relationship and they're super cute together. As a reincarnated aristocrat, I will use my appraisal skill. I think it's an A. I really liked the ensemble cast here. I felt like, obviously the point is that everyone is doing their job, or like their purpose, serving their purpose in the group. And they did that really well, but they weren't just their job. Like, they still had personalities that didn't feel like tropes, and they were fleshed out pretty well. And like, the conflict of the war was well used, and the loss of his dad was well handled, and there was just a lot of things that I felt like overall made it a higher quality reincarnation show. What did you think? Why did you want to put it in S?
I felt like they used their characters well, and everyone had a purpose.
Yeah. So then we have Kaiju number 8, which is definitely in the S, because this was the highest rated show we had, or I had, for the season. I don't know about you.
I think the same for me. I don't remember off the top of my head, though.
I hate to be that cliche, like, oh, the shonen of the season and everything, but it was legitimately really good. I think that the designs were amazing, and the story is solid, and the characters are, like, every single one of them is likable and flawed, and it's just well done.
I hope we get to see more usage of his backstory of being a cleaner.
Yeah, they did use it, but they could have used it more.
Yeah.
I think that my concern for that aspect is that the next season will probably be more of him utilizing his own kaiju form instead, because now that he's outed to everybody, like, it's kind of the expectation.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see more fights.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to more fights. Oh my goodness, the fight with him and the vice captain in the alleyway was so cool. It was so tense, and then obviously the fight with the, like, giant red kaiju at the end was a big deal. And the fight with him and her dad at Chamber when they arrested him. Oh my god. Then we have Sound Euphonium Season 3, which is the final season. I felt like they handled it really well as a finale and closing up, you know, the storylines for some of the characters and closing the expectations for us as viewers about the competition. And it really, even though sitting there watching it, we were expecting them to win nationals this time finally, it still felt like they earned it, especially after watching the whole thing successively, because this was another one where it's been so long. We actually utilized the summary movies and the 2, like, sequel movies to get ready for this final season, and I just felt like the only thing is that season 1 was so heavy in actually playing the songs on screen, but this season was only twice, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was the marching. Or no, did we get cut off on the marching too? Either way, there was a little bit less music than previously. And I think that the drama that they decided to focus on in this season, being her experience as president, was well handled and realistic. So
I thought it was interesting how they utilized characters that had graduated.
I'm kind of glad that they kept the senpais around to be like, this is us talking to them about school and seeking guidance and looking at the direct example, like when they went to the concert for the one girl, and just keeping them as support systems and people that I'm sure the audience really fell in love with from the first season. The next one is I Was Reincarnated as the 7th Prince, which we dropped on episode 5 or 6. It was right after the arc where they fought the demon at the lake, and I just couldn't take it anymore. It was over-sexualized or hyper-sexualized, but, like, in a creepy way. Like, it got really creepy, especially around that fight, and I just wasn't interested in going there with that show. You can have fan service and you can be sexy, but I can't do creepy. Oh, this is another one that we dropped. I think this is the final one that we dropped for the season. This would be The Banished Former Hero Lives as He Pleases. This was actually where everyone said the animation was bad, and they were right. But it was also that the story just felt flat, and they were just setting it up as if the only goal was to collect girls. Like, there was no goal for him personally. So I didn't feel like pursuing it further. So we have Delicious in Dungeon. I feel like it's an A instead of an S. I know that everyone loves it. It just didn't hit me the same as everybody else. Because you know, we would do a little bit of adventuring and dungeon crawling, and that's fine and whatever, but then we would finally get to the serious story points, like when they found the dragon, or when they resurrected Fallon, and when they were having to deal with, like, figuring out what was going on in the paintings even. Like, that one wasn't as serious, but like, it was still to the point of underlying story and accomplishing something, and then we immediately turned back around and stopped accomplishing things or talking about important things, and I'm just not as there for it as everybody else.
Well, I'll give it an A just because we didn't conclude anything, really.
That too, yeah. So the next one is the Irregular Magic High School Season 3, I believe. Yes. And I think this one was an A. I think it maintained the same energy as the previous seasons and movies, and I think that my only complaint is that we focused on the new students entering the school a little too much. It felt as if everybody else progressed except our two main characters. And I guess it's because, like, we're going into the really important succession for the Yotsubas in the upcoming movie. So, you know, they needed to finish setting up other, like, background family stuff to make that probably make more sense. But yeah, that was just another one where I was like, we're all just kind of here waiting for the next thing to happen a little bit. Then we have the Demon Slayer training arc. What's it actually called? Hashira training arc. And this was another one that should have been a movie. Yeah, if you talk to IGN, it's a CRD. I just feel like we could have edited that down quite a lot. And we spent so much time with Tanjiro, for example, that it, like, reminded me about how one-dimensional he is. And they could have focused more on the Hashiras and teaching us, like, who they are and giving us more reason to care about them as characters, as they're presumably going to die in the next arc. But I feel like I just still don't know them very well. I don't know anything beyond their powers for most of them. So I think that should have been a movie instead, and that it didn't focus the way I wanted it to for what it decided to do. Then we have Windbreaker. This is definitely a high tier show for me. I will complain that the fighting arc with the rival group probably could have happened later or for less time, but specifically in my personal preference, I wish it had happened after we had spent a little bit more time with our core boys. Like, I felt like just a little itty bitty bit more character building was necessary for me personally to really want to root for each one of them in their individual fights. Because we got, like, more background about the rival kids than anybody else that whole season. And so, I mean, obviously I've never read the manga, so I don't know, but if those kids are going to keep showing up, then that might be why. But, you know, I wish I knew a little bit more about our main squad. So overall, it was a really high quality season with lots of good, worthy shows to watch, and I am also super happy that so many shows got season 2 announcements, that we're not living in a world where we're questioning if we're ever going to get to see the continuation or final arc of a story anymore. And I can't wait for summer season.